we're the most depressed generation in history. That's not an exaggeration. That's not me being dramatic. That's just a statistical fact. Gen Z has higher rates of depression, anxiety, and suicide than any generation that came before us, and everyone has their theories about why. Older generations love to blame phones and social media. Mental health experts talk about COVID and isolation. Politicians point to economic instability and climate anxiety. And yeah, all of that plays a role. But I think there's something deeper going on, something that nobody's really talking about. And today I want to break down exactly why our generation is so fundamentally broken. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once you understand what's actually happening, everything starts to make sense. The emptiness, the anxiety, the feeling like nothing matters. It's not just you, it's all of us. And there's a reason for it. So let me start with the obvious stuff first. The things everyone already knows about but are worth mentioning anyway, because they are part of the problem even if they're not the whole problem. First, we grew up online. And I don't just mean we use the internet a lot, I mean we literally grew up in a digital world our entire adolescence. The time when we were supposed to be figuring out who we are was spent performing for an audience. Every photo we posted, every status we wrote, every comment we made, it was all public, all permanent, all subject to judgment. We were building our identities in front of thousands of people, and those identities had to be perfect, because that's what social media demands. Perfection. You can't just be yourself, you have to be the best version of yourself, the most attractive, the most interesting, the most successful version. Anything less, and you're failing. And we internalize that. We learn that our worth is determined by likes and comments and followers. We learn that we're only valuable if other people validate us. We learn to perform instead of just exist, and that's exhausting. Imagine going through your entire teenage years, already the most insecure, confusing time of your life, with this constant pressure to be perfect, to look perfect, to seem happy, to appear like you have your life together. No wonder we're depressed. We never got to just be awkward teenagers. We had to be influencers. We had to be brands. We had to curate ourselves. Second, we're completely overstimulated. Our brains are being bombarded with more information in a single day than previous generations experienced in a year. News, entertainment, drama, opinions, advertisements, all of it pouring into our minds every second we're awake. And our brains can't handle it. We're not designed for this level of stimulation, so we go numb. We develop this baseline level of anxiety because we're constantly in fight or flight mode, constantly processing threats, constantly overwhelmed. But we can't stop, because if we put down our phones, if we disconnect, we feel like we're missing out, like the world is moving on without us. So we stay plugged in, stay overstimulated, and wonder why we feel terrible all the time. Third, we have no real community. And I know that sounds weird because we're more connected than ever. We can talk to anyone in the world instantly. We have group chats and Discord servers and online communities, but that's not real community. Real community is physical, it's messy, it's showing up for people when it's inconvenient, it's being known by the people around you, it's having people who see you at your worst and stick around anyway. And we don't have that. We have hundreds of online friends and zero people we can call at 3 a.m. when we're having a breakdown. We have thousands of followers and nobody who actually knows us. Because online connection is shallow, it's performative, it's carefully curated. You can't build real relationships through a screen. You can't experience genuine intimacy through texts and posts. And humans need real connection. We need community. We need to feel like we belong somewhere. And without that, we feel isolated, empty, depressed. Fourth, everything is hopeless. And I mean everything. The economy is broken. We can't afford houses. We're drowning in student debt. The planet is dying. Democracy is collapsing. AI is taking jobs. Every single thing we're told to work toward feels pointless. Our parents' generation could believe in the American dream. Work hard, get a degree, get a good job, buy a house, retire comfortably. That was the promise. That was the deal. But that deal doesn't exist anymore. We can do everything right and still end up broke and struggling. We can get the degree, work the job, and still not be able to afford basic stability. The system is rigged against us, and everyone knows it. So why try? Why work ourselves to death for a future that doesn't exist? Why sacrifice our mental health and happiness for a system that's already failed us? And this isn't just economic anxiety, this is existential despair, the feeling that nothing we do matters because the world is fundamentally broken and we can't fix it. But here's where I think it gets really dark. Here's the part that nobody wants to talk about. All of that stuff I just mentioned, that's not even the main problem. Those are symptoms. The real issue is deeper. The real reason Gen Z is so depressed is because we've been robbed of meaning. We've been raised in a world that has systematically stripped away everything that used to give people a sense of purpose. Think about what previous generations had that we don't. They had religion, they had stable communities, they had clear life paths. They had cultural narratives that told them who they were and what their life was for. And I'm not saying those things were perfect. I'm not saying we should go back to the way things were, but those things provided meaning. They gave people a framework for understanding their existence. They answered the question, what's the point? But we don't have that. We've deconstructed all the old narratives, we've questioned all the old beliefs, we've torn down all the old structures, and we haven't replaced them with anything. So we're left in this void, this meaningless existence where nothing means anything, where there's no grand narrative, no clear purpose, no answer to the question of why we're here. And that's terrifying because humans need meaning. We need to feel like our lives matter, like we're part of something bigger than ourselves, like there's a reason we exist. But modern culture tells us there is no reason. There's no grand purpose. There's no meaning. You're just a random collection of atoms that happen to become conscious for a brief moment in an indifferent universe. And then we wonder why young people are depressed. We've told them their existence is meaningless and then asked them to find happiness anyway. But it gets worse. Because not only have we lost meaning, we've replaced it with consumption. The answer to what's the point of life has become buy things and have experiences. Your worth is determined by what you own and what you've done. Your identity is what you consume. Your purpose is to accumulate wealth and status and experiences so you can post about them online. And that doesn't work. It can't work because consumption can never fill the void left by meaning. You can buy all the things, visit all the places, achieve all the goals, and you'll still feel empty because things don't give you purpose. But we don't have anything else. We've been raised in a culture that worships individualism and consumerism and self optimization. That tells us we can be anything we want, but doesn't tell us what we should want. That gives us infinite freedom, but no direction. And freedom without direction is just chaos. It's paralysis. It's standing in front of infinite possibilities with no idea which one to choose because none of them mean anything. I see this in myself and in everyone around me. We're all just floating, going through the motions, working jobs we don't care about to buy things we don't need to impress people we don't like, scrolling endlessly through other people's curated lives, wondering why ours feel so empty. And the worst part, we know it's empty. We're not even fooling ourselves. We know the things we're chasing don't matter. We know the lifestyle we're sold is hollow. We know we're running on a treadmill going nowhere, but we don't know what else to do because we've never been taught how to create meaning. We've only been taught how to consume it. Previous generations had it easier in this regard, not economically, not socially, but existentially. They had ready-made answers to life's big questions. They had frameworks that told them what mattered. We have to figure it all out ourselves, in a world that's actively hostile to meaning, in a culture that commodifies everything, in an economy that demands we sacrifice our humanity for productivity. And we're doing it while our brains are broken from overstimulation, while we're isolated from real community, while we're performing for an audience 24/7, while everything around us is collapsing. No wonder we're the most depressed generation. We're trying to find meaning in a meaningless world with broken brains and no support system. But here's the thing, and this is important, understanding why we're depressed doesn't fix the depression, but it does help, because at least you know it's not just you, you're not uniquely broken, you're not failing at life. You're responding normally to an abnormal situation. Your depression isn't a personal failure, it's a rational response to a sick society. And knowing that doesn't make it hurt less, but it does take away some of the shame, some of the self-blame. You're not depressed because you're weak or lazy or not trying hard enough. You're depressed because the world is genuinely messed up and your brain is reacting accordingly. So what do you do about it? How do you find meaning in a meaningless world? How do you be happy when everything is designed to make you miserable? I don't have all the answers. I'm still figuring it out myself, but I have some thoughts. First, you have to opt out of at least some of it. You can't change the whole system, but you can change your relationship to it. You can limit social media. You can stop trying to perform. You can prioritize real connections over online ones. You can refuse to let consumption define you. You can stop chasing status and start chasing things that actually make you feel alive. You can build a life based on your values instead of society's expectations. Second, you have to create your own meaning, because it's not going to be handed to you. There's no instruction manual, no clear path. You have to figure out what matters to you and build your life around that. Maybe it's relationships, maybe it's creating something, maybe it's helping people, maybe it's learning, maybe it's experiencing beauty. It doesn't matter what it is as long as it's real to you. And this is hard because we've been trained to look outside ourselves for validation, to let other people tell us what matters, but real meaning has to come from within. It has to be something you choose, not something you're sold. Third, you have to find community, real community, people who actually know you and care about you, people you can be vulnerable with, people who will show up when things are hard. This is probably the hardest one because our entire culture works against it, but it's also the most important because you can't do this alone. Nobody can. We need each other. And I know this all sounds like vague self help advice, like just be yourself, or follow your passion, or whatever other meaningless platitudes people love to throw around. But I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying you can just decide to be happy and fix everything. I'm saying you have to actively fight against the systems that are making you depressed. You have to recognize that your depression isn't your fault, that you're not broken, that the world is broken, and then you have to find ways to exist in that broken world without letting it destroy you. And some days you're going to fail. Some days the depression is going to win. Some days you're going to scroll for 6 hours and feel terrible and wonder what the point of any of this is. That's okay. That's part of it. You're not going to be perfect. You're not going to fix yourself. You're just trying to survive in a world that wasn't designed for human flourishing, but you can survive. You can find moments of meaning. You can build connections. You can create something that matters to you, even if it doesn't matter to anyone else. And maybe that's enough. Maybe in a meaningless world, creating your own small pockets of meaning is the best we can do. Maybe that's the answer. I don't know. I'm still figuring it out. But I do know this: you're not alone. Every person your age is going through some version of this. We're all depressed. We're all struggling. We're all trying to find meaning in a world that doesn't offer any. And there's something powerful in that shared experience, in knowing that we're all in this together, that we're all trying to make sense of the same broken world. So if you're depressed right now, if you're struggling, if you feel like nothing matters, I see you. I get it. And you're not failing. You're just human. And being human in 2025 is really, really hard. What's your experience with this? Do you relate to any of this? How do you deal with the meaninglessness? Let me know in the comments, because I genuinely want to know how other people are navigating this, and if this resonated with you, share it with someone who might need to hear it. Because we need to talk about this stuff. We need to stop pretending we're okay when we're not. We'll talk again soon.